Good day, everyone. For those of you joining my broadcast for the first time, welcome. I'm Asif Wasti, Trade Advisor at EDC, Export Development Canada. I'm broadcasting live today from Ottawa, Ontario. I'm going to take the next 10 minutes or so to discuss growing your business outside of Canada. I'll also explain how to leverage a trade partner like EDC to help make things easier. A special guest is joining me today. I have beside me Chris O'Donnell. Chris is a seasoned vet when it comes to helping Canadian businesses succeed internationally. He's an account manager here at EDC. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So in just a few moments, Chris will talk about the different ways companies can grow abroad. He'll mention some common challenges faced by exporters, and I'll even get him to share some examples of how EDC was able to help tackle these challenges. I encourage each of you to ask questions throughout this broadcast. For those wanting to follow up and learn more about growing your business internationally, connect with me on Twitter. You may also visit our website at edc.ca. Until recently, traditional exporting, shipping products directly to a customer, for example, was how we did business overseas. And long-term investment strategies was more of an afterthought. But many companies are now either setting up or buying businesses outside Canada. These investments range from simple ones, such as setting up a sales office, to much larger projects, such as building a manufacturing plant or buying a foreign company. While it's true that bigger firms are more likely than their smaller cousins to put money in foreign investments, many of Canada's smaller companies have learned how to make this strategy work for them as well. The idea is to create an extension of your business in that market so that your clients can deal with you directly. Some even use it to warehouse Canadian-made products for local distribution. Of the 500 Canadian companies we recently interviewed who've expanded internationally, 95% reported this as a positive impact on their revenue. Now that's an impressive number. Investing abroad has many advantages for Canadian businesses, which can help you compete more effectively. So let me bring Chris in at this point. Chris, for those interested but perhaps a bit unsure about expanding overseas, how does one get started?
Well, there's a couple of things you want to do. The first thing you want to consider is remember to chase the opportunity. You want to make sure that you're investing abroad for the right reasons. If you've got an opportunity in front of you, for example, you can have a happier and therefore more clients if you can get material to them faster. Maybe your solution is to set up to hold inventory closer to them, hold inventory abroad. Maybe your competitive advantage will be more clients want to buy from their own country. Maybe a sales affiliate is all you need. But really what you want to do is you want to make chase the opportunity that's going to help you succeed. Become part of that 95% of Canadian companies that are seeing really good Canadian benefits, back to Canada. So there's that piece. Find the right opportunity. The other thing you want to do, of course, is you want to partner wisely as well. If you're dealing with somebody abroad, you want to make sure that there's benefits to your company on that end, and you want to be well resourced. This is a very time-intensive, labor-intensive, information-intensive undertaking. You want to make sure you're doing it right. So you want to make sure you have the right people, the right amount of people, and the capacity to do it. You want to make sure you have the money to do it as well, if there's going to be significant costs. You want to be informed. There's a lot at play when you're setting up shop abroad. Every jurisdiction has different laws. There's different requirements, tax implications. You don't want to be paying the revenue that your Canadian entity makes in the foreign market. So you want to make sure you have external expertise that you can leverage to make sound business decisions when deciding where you want to go. Be aware of the regulations, be aware of what that's going to mean to you, and look into where there are trade agreements already in place. So it really, the last thing you want to do, of course, as always, is protect yourself. Be it protection from non-payment, protection of your assets if it's in a foreign market. It's not the same as having something down the street that you can check in on every day. You want to make sure that you're protected, and there's many different ways that EDC can help with that piece, but also with the information piece I've previously spoke of. So quickly to summarize, chase the opportunity, be well resourced. You want to make sure you're informed, and then protect yourself.
Thanks, Chris. Now, is it safe to say, regardless of the size of the business, there's a way a company can grow successfully outside of Canada?
Well, it goes back to my earlier comment about opportunity. There are typical profiles of a well-resourced company, for example. Those tend to be bigger companies or well-established companies. But that's not always the case. I have a client firsthand that I'll speak of in an example a little later. That's a startup, and their business model was almost dependent on a foreign investment strategy, having an affiliate. So once again, it goes back to the opportunity. I've got some colleagues who have clients in the 300 million in annual revenue in business for 20 years, undertaking their first foreign investment activity as of late. So it really depends on what you as a company are seeking in terms of opportunity. But don't exclude yourself from thinking big or thinking about that because you've only been in operations for a year.
And also, Chris, I've had exporters ask me this on several occasions. Other than the US, what other countries are Canadian businesses expanding to?
Well, I mean, there are the popular ones. US, of course, is the big one, just because of the border that we share. We're seeing a lot more in China, seeing a lot more in India. There's a lot of interest in South America as well. And from my firsthand perspective, the companies that I've helped have been in India, have been in Mexico, and the United States, of course, as well. So those are the ones that we're typically seeing, getting questions about as well.
Great, thanks. And from your experience, Chris, in helping Canadian businesses on a daily basis, what were some common challenges raised by your clients?
Well, it depends on what stage they're at in terms of their undertakings. Sometimes it's as simple as knowledge, questions. How do I get started? Information that we may not have within firsthand, but we can connect the right people. Just the vast network that we have as EDC. So there's the knowledge piece. How do I get started? Implications, where, that kind of thing. The next piece is, how do I protect myself once I'm over there? And the further you are in your development of your strategy, how do I make sure I get paid? What happens if the government is overthrown, or if I can't convert my local currency into US dollars or Canadian dollars? How can I make sure that I can get my money out, my assets are protected? So we get a lot of questions about that. And then the other piece is questions about, how do I make this happen financially? We can, just because of the international element of it, traditional lending, it's difficult to do against foreign assets. We typically like to be secured by, well, I'm lending against something down the street, or I can see what I'm lending against, and that's very difficult in terms of traditional lending models as something to do. So those are the three big things: knowledge, how do I protect myself, and how can I get money to make this happen?
Great, thanks, Chris. Now for the good stuff, Chris. Can you please share some real examples, without disclosing any confidential information, of course, of how you were able to help a company expand internationally?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to give a couple of examples. One that we spoke about earlier was simply this client has access to a good amount of raw oil seeds, and this is the startup that I was speaking of earlier, just to put into perspective that you don't need to be an established multi-year company. Their business model was essentially to get these raw oil seeds to India, to a processing plant, so that it could be sold on the Indian market to major grocery stores, major retailers, under the Canadian flag, a product of Canada. So this company had partnered with a bottling plant, a processing plant, and was able to start operations in India. The challenges they presented when they came to me with this business model were twofold. Setting up a foreign affiliate to not only have the partnership with the bottling plant, but also to be the sales point, where the sales affiliate, the sales would be coming from that Indian buyer. So the way that we were able to help was, this company had an existing accounts receivable insurance policy on their Canadian entity. We were able to then put coverage on the foreign entity as well, so that sales done on credit by the foreign entity to these Indian retailers and Indian distributors, would be covered as well. So we were able to protect them against the risk of non-payment. Another challenge they had is that they needed a relatively small line of credit to make this happen for just day-to-day working capital. And their bank had a bit of hesitancy because it was very clear and made very clear that the foreign entity would be benefiting from the line of credit. They would be financing some of the operations. So we were able to come in and take half of the risk away from the bank by guaranteeing the line, which basically gave them enough of a credit enhancement to proceed with putting the line of credit in place. So that was one example of a relatively small company. Another time, I had a prospect and now client of mine approach me because they were looking at setting up a sales affiliate in the United States, and that rapidly expanded. This company sells pumps and irrigation systems, a well-established Canadian company, been in operations for about 20 years. And they had the opportunity to set up a sales affiliate, and as they were doing that, discovered that they could acquire a US sales affiliate and a workshop for a relatively low amount. So they went ahead and they did that. And then once they were established, they went looking for a line of credit from a US bank, looking for borrowings to fund the day-to-day operations. The bank, the US bank, didn't look at their Canadian history. They're more concerned with the entity they're lending to, and they saw them as a startup. So obviously their credit appetite was next to well, it was zero. So what we were able to do was we were able to guarantee a Canadian bank to guarantee a US bank. Basically, the US bank biggest concern was they were not going to get paid back. But by us being able to guarantee a Canadian bank to guarantee a US bank, if you can follow the dominoes here, it removed the risk from the US bank and gave them access to working capital to finance their US operations. And of course, in this instance as well, we were also able to put coverage on the sales of the foreign affiliate, much like my previous example as well. And then, so those are two examples of completed undertakings in terms of helping Canadians invest abroad. And there's one underway with one of my clients who deals in specialized engineer and robotics, and their key market is large manufacturing plants, automotive and other types of manufacturers. And there's a great demand for their products in Mexico. The challenge is because they're so specialized, if something breaks or something needs to be repaired, engineers have to come from Canada. So they're looking into setting up a service shop. This can help them get a competitive advantage because their robotics and engineering services are already quite good. But by having somebody in market that can repair them quickly can give them a competitive advantage as a small company to sell to these giant manufacturing companies in Mexico. So where we are there is, we're looking into providing advice, knowledge, and connecting with trade advisors and other entities down in Mexico, leveraging our EDC chief representatives in Mexico as well, to help them get the information that they need. And along the way, we're also looking into what kind of financing they'll need and how we can add value. But I guess it comes down to every story is different, and every opportunity is different. And there's a certain degree of flexibility with how we can help, how we can apply our solutions, or if it's simply just knowledge that you're looking for, we can do that too. So the best advice I would give to anybody considering this is to reach out to you via Twitter or go on our website and connect with us, because there is opportunity out there.
Thanks for the plug, Chris. So there you have it, some great examples of how EDC was able to help Canadian businesses expand abroad or establish an international footprint, regardless of the stage they're in. We at EDC have the knowledge and tools to help your business reach its expansion goals. For example, we can ensure your export sales. We can even partner with your bank to help you get more financing. We can also provide useful information on the markets you're looking to expand to. So feel free to connect with us. To learn more about today's topic, please visit us at edc.ca or simply connect with me on Twitter. Chris, thanks again for sharing your insight with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure working with you as always.
Likewise.
This is Asif Wasti, signing off Periscope. Until next time, thank you for watching and have yourself a great day.